This is the Great Reset. It's here. It's here. And if you deny it, you're a fool. You really are going to be sorry. Now, we're getting pressure from the corporations, and they say they don't care about pressure we give them. Yeah, I told you a couple of weeks ago that I was going to boycott Coca-Cola. Well, I have found that damn near impossible because everywhere I go, it's either I just drink water or a Coke product, and they control the water and everything else. And so what I've decided is I think it's impossible because these corporations are so massive that boycotting them is a Herculean effort. And maybe somebody, you can call me and talk me into the Herculean effort. I just don't know even how to do it. But I've decided that I've got to pick a couple of things that these corporations do. For instance, I'm never going to buy, what is their water? It's not Aquafina. It's the crappy water from Atlanta.
Dasani, right? Yeah, Dasani. Yeah.
Dasani and
Dasani,
Coca-Cola.
No tea. Dasani.
Okay, Dasani and Coca-Cola. I'm never going to buy those. Never will I buy those. If I'm put in a situation to where they have everything else is Coke product, I'll find another Coke product that I have to eat at dinner or whatever. But I will stay away from Coke products if I'm buying them at the grocery store, all Coke products. But I think we must begin to push back on these corporations because they don't think you will. And they are taking far too much power now. They are going to tell us what our states should and should not do. If our states, which are run by Republicans, they decide that they are going to do voting laws and say, we're bringing it back to the way it was prior to COVID. And we're also going to require some identification. They're going to boycott. They're going to hold back money from states. They are going to run campaigns, and they're going to coordinate. That's what happened this weekend. They are going to gut cities and states that are at all red. They're going to gut them. Why are we still supporting them? Now, another thing. When the gutting is being done, we know that the small business guy has been gutted already. But for those who made it, you now have another foe. You have the government regulations. You have the corporations working with the government to make regulations that will benefit them, not you. And now you have the labor union. You are going to be cornered. They're holding you with 3 points. I mean, everybody knows you cannot win a chess game unless you have 2 or more pieces to triangulate people. Well, they've got you triangulated. Does anybody think that Elon Musk is the kind of guy that cares what anyone thinks about him? That he cares what anybody says about his tweets? Well, apparently, once the labor union gods get their feathers ruffled, he does have to care. He fired an employee this is 2018, I think. He fired an employee named Richard Ortiz. He was a labor activist who was part of an organizing campaign called Fair Future at Tesla. So at the time, Elon Musk said, there's nothing stopping Tesla team at our car plant from voting union. They could do so tomorrow if they wanted. But why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing? Our safety record is 2 times better than when the plant was UAW, and everyone already gets health care. So that was Elon Musk's opinion. And doesn't he have a right to say that? Hey, our safety record is 2 times. You get health care. I give stock options. I mean, why would you unionize? Well, apparently, that's a grave sin. It violates the 11th commandment. Thou shalt join a union no matter what. As for the sin, the National Labor Relations Board passed its judgment a couple of weeks ago saying that Tesla must rehire Richard Ortiz and compensate him for all of the lost income resulting from his firing. They also ordered Tesla and Musk to delete the offensive tweet, saying that it unlawfully threatened Tesla employees. Ooh. Yeah, that sounded very threatening, didn't it? So he deleted it. Now, if he is deleting, that must be a pretty powerful organization. It is. We know this. Do you remember the story of Ben Domenech, publisher of the Federalist? He defended Musk and had, over the top, ridiculously, compared the ruling against Elon Musk, and it was a joke, and he was forced to delete it about unionizing. His own employees were not threatening to unionize. His joke was in reference to a situation at Vox Media at the time, but the NLRB said that he was guilty of unfair labor practices and subpoenaed years' worth of communications among Federalist staff members. Some staff members were also subpoenaed to testify in New York, and it was a tweet that was a joke. It's the Federalist. No one working at the Federalist is thinking about joining a union. But nobody seems to be bothered by this. Remember, it was this government institution that is now like they need an enforcer, like the unions need an enforcer. They got the enforcers. It's Fat Tony over here by the door, eh? Now they have a government enforcer. And the bullies at the NLRB, they were the ones 10 years ago stopped Boeing from building a new plant in South Carolina, or tried to stop it. South Carolina is a right-to-work state. Washington State, heavily unionized. And the NLRB twisted the law to benefit all of the unions. They oversee the elections by employees at the companies to determine whether they want union representation. But they have all kinds of justifications when it doesn't come out their way. One case, 2016, the U.S. District Court of Appeals in D.C. slammed the NLRB for upholding the results of a very tight election win for the union side, despite the pro-union employees threatening physical violence against any coworkers if they didn't vote to unionize. So Elon Musk is a monster because he says, hey, I've got free health care. We're 2 times the safety record of when it was a union, and you get stock options. That's a monster. But people who were threatening violence against coworkers if they didn't vote to unionize, nothing to worry about that. This is all about control. And it is going to come at you in a myriad of ways. It's coming to you now through corporations, through the media, through the government, through unions, and through education and school. This is what fascism looks like. When you have all of those groups colluding with one another, and as they did this weekend, 100 major corporations having a Zoom call to talk about government policies that don't affect their business. They just believe that those are the right policies to pursue, for the people who are living in states where they have Republican representation. Those people, they're just trapped. They're just trapped. What about all the people that I met this weekend up in New York and Connecticut that are just trapped in those nightmares? Just trapped. You don't hear the corporations coming out against them, do you? You see the corporations saying, when New York decides in their in their budget to add $2.1 billion just for the refugees. Oh my gosh, where did that word come from? The people that are crossing our southern border and are being shipped up into New York. They've added $2.1 billion to build schools for them. That's your priority? You can't get rid of a guy who killed so many people in the nursing homes in New York while he was on a book tour. And that's your priority. Who's representing the people in New York that don't feel that way? This country was never my way or the highway.